Hi guys, welcome back to the Little Art Studio podcast. My name is Ashlyn McKibben and I am here with Deb Nascimento. Is that right?
Yes, that's
right. She is a brilliant ceramicist here based in Miami, Florida, and I'm going to let her tell you guys a little bit about herself.
Cool. Hey guys, I'm already getting nervous. My name is Deborah. I am Brazilian. I grew up in Naples and I've been living in Miami for about 4 years. I started ceramics in the 10th grade, and ever since then just really enjoyed it. Experienced a lot beforehand too as a painter and a musician for many years, but really just dove into ceramics when I moved to Miami. I had the opportunity to teach ceramics here and just fell in love with the process, the students, just everything all about it just really encompasses me as a person. It helps you get grounded. It really just helps you tune into yourself and focus in on your insecurities, your faults, and you just learn through the process of creating a piece. And I just fell in love with that concept and really just enjoyed teaching my students this whole journey together.
Were you teaching like high school or college or?
No, I was mostly adults.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've been teaching adults for about 4 years, and I've done some like different summer camps with children, but it's definitely a whole different thing.
A different attention span. I feel like the event that I went to here, like I felt like a child
really?
The entire time I was there. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's super cool. I want to talk about your space here.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of what it took to curate this. So for people listening, you have this little house that you have here with a beautiful little garden in the back, full-fledged ceramic studio, kiln and everything. And you host some pretty cool events. So I don't know if you want to kind of give us a little bit of insight of how that is and how that started for you.
Of course, yeah. So we are actually, me and my best friend were living in a pretty shitty apartment before this place a few years back. And, you know, we kind of just jumped into this place and it was kind of last minute and we just did not have a good time there. While we were living there, I just really wanted to manifest a space for myself, just because I've worked with other studios before and never really had my own space to work out of, which I'm still very grateful for the experiences working with other studios, but I've always dreamed of having my own space where I could curate my own events.
Yeah.
So while we were living in this little apartment, Holden and I actually just talked about it and we were like, what do we want this space to look like? What do we want like our next place to look like? And we were essentially just dreaming up our space. We like sat, we closed our eyes and we're like, what is it going to look like? And we're like, okay, I've always wanted a coral colored house with like all ivy all over the front of the house. I want a studio space and also a big backyard with 2 mango trees.
Yeah.
And this is something that we had in our head for a while. We visualized this and we like meditated on it for a while. And when it came time for our lease to end, we were looking and we were running out of time, and all the places that we found in our budget just was not it. Like really like weird areas and just not the vibes that we wanted. And Holden was starting to get nervous. He's like, okay, we're running out of time. We have to move out in like 2 weeks. What are we going to do? I'm like, just wait. Like
it's going to happen.
We are going to find it. Do not worry. And luckily the next day he went on Zillow and he found this place that had the picture of the front with the coral and the ivy on the front. And he was like, this is it. And I was like, yes, let's go tour it. Came here and we saw the studio space, saw the backyard, and we were just like, we fell in love immediately. That day we signed like the lease contract and we moved in like a week after that. And it just was just so amazing. I was super excited for it. And yeah, we started the space like that. I set up the studio and I started teaching classes here just to my friends. The first few months we moved in last February. So it was kind of low key. I was working at another pottery studio at the time, pretty intensely, about like 5 or 6 days out of the week. But kind of just trying to manifest like my space of what I wanted to curate. And through time, I started kind of having more people come through. I think it was in November, I had my first workshop. It was a fairy house workshop.
So cute.
It was super cute.
I saw it on social media and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. So that was the first workshop that I did was in November.
Yeah.
And it was super amazing. Like everyone loved it. And it was the first time that like I've hosted an event for myself, for people like myself. I really wanted to cultivate a space for like just creative, like queer people, just make a safe space for people to come and just learn something new. And that's exactly what happened. I was super excited about it. And from there, I just kept coming up with different ideas. And I think that since it was for myself, it was so much more fulfilling. And I just had ideas upon ideas. And in the ceramic social that I came up with I've only done 2 of these events so far. And that was like a completely game changer for me.
You had a great turnout at the one that I went to. I was just like, dang, this is super cute. And what you said, curating like a little community of like queer people, it was like there was a lot of women there and we don't really have like a queer femme space. I feel like that's like dedicated in Miami, you know?
100%.
So it's nice seeing a bunch of creative little minds kind of playing together and, you know, half of us knew what we were doing and half of us didn't. And it was cool. So
yeah. And that's kind of the point though. You know, I wanted to start this event for people that don't know much about ceramics and they can learn together. So the second one was 2 Thursdays ago and we had return students come and, you know, they're already starting to get better. So it's like, it's super cool to see that happening where, you know, you're learning together with a group of people that also don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And you also just have like a nice space where you feel like relaxed and like just safe and you can just like also have a good time and learn something, you know?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super cute. Everybody here because you have a few roommates, are the rest of them artists?
Yeah, so Elena's a DJ.
Okay.
And then Holden is a musician.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And then my partner Lewis, he's a DJ as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. There's like a lot of little creative minds in this house.
Yeah.
That's usually how it is. I feel like anytime I'm in a house where there's multiple people living there in this realm, there's always so many different kinds of like creative outlets that are happening and it's cool.
Yeah, it's nice to surround yourself with people that kind of are thinking like a like-minded energy towards the world, you know? Like I wouldn't be like hanging around with like a bunch of finance bros.
I was going to say you have a finance bro living in the ceramic house and
I'd be like, who are you? Like, what's going on here? So yeah, like naturally I gravitate towards other creatives because y'all get the struggle. Like it's rough out here. So it's nice to kind of like have that energy bouncing back and forth with the people that you live with, you know?
Yeah, of course. How do you feel with social media, kind of speaking of it, because I mentioned it, how do you feel like that's impacted what you're doing right now?
So I think since I was working at a few different pottery studios beforehand that were a bit like the social media presence was pretty active. I got a lot of followers through those classes. I was teaching like 6 days a week. Like each class was like a brand new group of people. And so I did gain a following of students through those events.
Nice.
And so kind of coming into my own studio, like people already kind of knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like that I'm a pottery teacher, that I'm doing classes and stuff. So I think that was helpful for me for sure. But personally, I love social media, but I also hate it. You know, like it's one of those things where like you need it, but like I also don't want to be on it all the time.
Yeah.
So it has been really, really helpful for me. Most of the people that have come through are from mutual friends or they've heard about me through others through social media. Yeah,
I found you based on like through social media through a friend, like someone I had just met and then had just followed her and then she posted being here like the next day and I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. Because I know there's a couple bigger ceramic studios here and I've never gone. I think kind of out of intimidation. So this looked, you know, easier to digest for me and it looked like a lot less pressure.
More like homey vibes, you know?
Like comfy and that's, I don't know, I think that's important when people are getting into something new.
For sure.
But I'm always curious because there's some people, well, I had a guy on here and he doesn't use social media at all. And then other people are like, you got to build the brand. You got to always be on it. So everybody's a little bit different on it. So.
Definitely. For me with the social media, I think I just like have like an eye for aesthetics. Like I just love, like I know kind of what I like. I love like that earthy organic feel. So when I'm posting things, I kind of just gravitate towards that. Like I buy film and I take film like pictures like during my different events, which it kind of has a similar type of texture to it. So I just try to be really consistent with the image that I'm putting out.
I was going to say, I think that people get like comfortable when it's kind of like the same, when you see that same aesthetic, it's like a visual comfort for people to stay on your page and keep like digging through it and stuff like that too.
For sure. Yeah. And I grew up on Tumblr, you know, like I was a Lana girly that just, you know, had the aesthetics. I'm 25.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I grew up on Tumblr, you know, so I'm just always about the aesthetics.
I know. I mentioned Tumblr the other day and someone was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh no. Like I've aged out. It's happened.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I loved it. Like my whole aesthetic was like black and white, like Lana Del Rey. Like, I don't know, like Pepsi Cola vibes.
Yeah,
you know?
like the Arctic Monkeys era for me. Oh my god.
100%. No, that was like definitely me
I'm
as
still
well.
in it. Like
for sure.
I like definitely like the 1975. I'm like stuck in that era. I can't get out of that era. But it's good, you know.
For sure. It's nostalgic. Like you hear it and you know what you're gonna get and it's good for you.
Yeah. And that had such a big influence, I feel like, on artists our age. I don't know. I remember in high school everybody had it. And I went to an art school, so everybody was just stayed on Tumblr. That was like the only platform that we used.
Yeah, I do miss it. Yeah, we need to bring it back.
I know. Honestly, I think it still exists, but they have a whole lot of censorship on it now, and nobody uses it anymore, so it's not that fun.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah,
I don't know. There was a lot of stuff happening on Tumblr after we all logged off, but yeah. So now it's just like TikTok and Instagram for me, like. Oh my gosh, like I could be on TikTok all day if I let me, you know.
And that's something too, like I don't do pottery, but I'm on like pottery TikTok because I think it's really relaxing to watch. Like all of the videos of people throwing and stuff, I think is super relaxing. It's kind of like ASMR for your eyes. But
oh yeah, for sure. And then you have like the thirst trap pottery TikTok guys where I'm like, what is happening?
I know. There's the girl with like the really big curly hair.
Yeah, I love her.
Oh my god. I'm like, just take my money.
She's amazing. Sometimes when I'm making content, I think about her. I'm like, how would she do this? And she just has like her way of doing things. Like, she's so iconic. I love her so much.
There's a girl, I think she's based out of Fort Lauderdale. I found her on either TikTok or Instagram. She does like the pottery with like the lips.
Yeah, I do know her. It's Female Alchemy.
Yeah. I love her stuff. That's super cool.
She's doing really well for herself. I'm really proud of her. Her stuff is super cool and she's like evolving. Like her things are really interesting. I've been following her work since the beginning. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel, I don't want to say competition-wise here, but I guess I'm kind of curious about like the market here for what you're doing because I know it kind of can go two different ways. Like in Miami, you've got this high-end luxury kind of situation with furniture and decor and all of that stuff. But then you've also might have the other end where people are either, oh, well, why would I pay, say, like $50 for a mug or $50 for this or $200 for this when I can just get something from Target or whatever?
Yeah.
You know? How do you feel like you fit into that or, you know, do or don't fit into it?
So I would say like I've done a lot of markets and you know there are people that know exactly what they're coming up towards and they're like, okay, this is pottery and they know how much work goes into it.
They have the appreciation for it.
Yeah, but I've also had people come up and they're like, what is this? Like, this is a cup? And I'm like, yeah, it's a cup. Like you can drink out of it. And I just do like my little spiel, like, you know, it's food safe, dishwasher safe, all that good stuff. And just tell them like kind of the process that goes into it. But I feel like it really just depends on the person. I feel like after being an artist for so many years, I've been doing it since I was like 10 years old. Like just kind of the right people will appreciate what you're doing. You know what I mean? And kind of just like focusing that energy on the people that are appreciating and enjoying your process and for everyone else, like it's fine. If you don't like it, that's okay. Like it sucks that you don't like it, but also like that's your opinion. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm always curious because I get the same thing in so many different ways as a photographer because you have the people that are just like really appreciate you, love what you're doing, and like, you know, won't try to haggle you on your price or anything like that. Then you have the other people that are like, well, it's simple. You know, I just need you to take a few pictures. And I'm like, it's
like
not
downplaying
simple.
it.
Yeah, downplaying what it is. And I'm like, well, if it's that simple, you know, you got it.
100%.
Like, you don't have to hire someone. But I feel like it's interesting sometimes because I think sometimes like with richer clientele, I end up kind of dealing with the haggling situation even more than I do with people who are maybe in like a lower income bracket or something like that. So I'm always curious with other fields, kind of how that works, because I know with photography, it's all over the board.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with like photographers struggle with that a lot.
Yeah,
you know
and video too. And people don't realize like how much goes into video.
Yeah, definitely.
Editing,
it's like a full day thing, and then you're doing all that editing. It's like intense.
Yeah, you can shoot for 13 hours, then you can edit for, you know, 5 days straight on something. And people think like, oh, I just want to pay a couple $100.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that. For sure. I think that, you know, I've definitely struggled in the past to price my pottery at like a price where I feel comfortable with, you know, and still to this day, I struggle with that, you know, it's just like knowing my work's self-worth and just kind of riding that wave, you know, and sometimes even like when someone reaches out to me, hey, like how much is this piece? And I'm like, it's like $100. And I just like, I text them and I'm like, I'm going to put my phone down and just do something else for a little bit. You know what I mean? Cause I get like kind of a little bit anxious of what they're going to say. But I think that time and time again, the right people come my way and they're like quick to be like, I want this and this. And it's just very like simple with them, you know? And the people that you're like kind of going back and forth with, like, just don't even put your energy into it. It's just not, it's going to be draining.
Your time is money.
Exactly.
I've learned that where I'm like, I'm done convincing people to like purchase a service or anything. I'm done trying to convince anybody. It's either you literally want to hire me or you don't. And I'll give you all the details, whatever. I'll walk you through the process. Totally fine. But that back and forth of like, well, I don't understand why it costs so much. You know, I'm done. I'm done with that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I think especially now that I'm doing these events, you know, I'm very clear about what's happening when people come here and also like just writing it down in like the ticket when they're reading through it and, you know, just trying to be cautious of that too. And also a big thing too is like when people come in, I let them know like, hey, like kind of treat this space like it's your space, like it's your studio and stuff. Like, you know, I'm opening this space up for you. Just treat it as your own.
It's literally your home. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and a lot of people don't realize how much goes into curating an event because you're here at the event, but you don't know how many days that I've taken to like to make it happen. You know what I mean? Like I've been planning this for a month. Usually like I start planning each event like a month beforehand. You know? And if it's a collaboration, it's more work because you're working with other people and you're coming together to create a concept. So just the process of like even making the event happen. Like when the event is happening, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But to get there, it's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like you looked so chill when I was at the one that I went to. I was like, she's a seasoned pro at this. I was like, this girl does all of your events all the time. This is completely normal for her. I would have been a nervous wreck. I would have been totally overwhelmed. I work in so many social situations, but I think if I was in charge, I would have like a total meltdown.
So the first one was really intense for me because I literally started setting up like 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared. The second one, I was like, everything was done like the day beforehand.
Yeah,
and everything was
smart.
Like super nice and curated, which I was really happy about. So it's like you learn through the mess, you know? Like we were talking about earlier, like just like a lot of production is just like all day of and you're just not prepared. Now that it's for myself and like I'm curating the event, like I want to make sure that everything is like good to go, you know?
No, you're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. I love the ideas that I've seen. You did like one with tea.
Yeah.
And I think, did you do one with like planting or something like that? Or was that?
No. So we didn't do that one. We did a teacup workshop with JoJo Tea. They're a tea room in like North Miami.
Okay.
So Taylor came, she works with JoJo and she brewed like 4 different teas. We talked about brewing and what kind of tea is and oxidations and stuff. And then we did a workshop with different transfers and you had like a stencil where you made the teacups. You could put the transfer on there and it was just super fun. Like I honestly really enjoyed that event.
Yeah.
It was like small and intimate and I think it was perfect just because like, you know, we're sharing like this moment, we're drinking tea together, we're talking about everything. And it was just nice to have that. And everyone ended up becoming friends at the end of it, which is super cool too.
Yeah.
That event was super sweet. I loved it. And I love Taylor and JoJo. They're amazing.
Yeah. I'm curious about your transition from kind of like painting and music into this. Like, do you still do those things? Also, I'm kind of curious on that situation because I've never seen any of your painting work.
Yeah, well, so my family is very musical. I grew up very religious, and my dad has played guitar since he was a kid. And my sister is a singer, and I started off as a singer in the Philharmonic, and I used to sing in the chorus, and I did not like it. And then I got into violin, and I was in the orchestra. I played in the orchestra for years. And then high school came along, and I auditioned for the drum line. I got into the drum line. And so I played lots of different percussion instruments in high school. As a painter, I kind of just started, like, I loved to draw as a kid, and it wasn't very good, but it was just for fun. And then, you know, when I turned around like 12 or 13, I started working with acrylic paint and just really big, like, pop art pieces, like mostly a background in like nature, very like organic pieces. And just loved doing that. But it was very frustrating for me. You know, I just feel like I had this image in my head and I couldn't translate it on the paper how I wanted to. You know, like, I feel like I really struggled with that in painting. And then I found ceramics in high school. I started doing like a ceramics course. It was like an elective class, and I just really loved it. And I kind of incorporated the painting into the ceramics as well, which you'll see in some of my work. There is, you know, there's elements of painting and kind of mix that together. And I just honestly just really fell in love with ceramics. It just was probably the most important part of my like artistic evolution. And then sometimes I produce music, I guess, like if I'm feeling up for it, like I'll take out like my little MIDI keyboard and I'll just like mess around on it and just do that. And then my roommate, he's my best friend. We sometimes produce music together, which is fun. Love collecting records and also just like listening to music like 24/7. I really do want to get back into it at some point. You know?
Yeah. So your family, are they supportive of what you're doing?
Yeah, I would say so. My dad is very creative. My mom is more like driven in a different kind of way. Like she's very like work oriented, but she's not very creative. But my dad, he really supports it. He always like had this image, like, I'm going to like make a wood shop and then you're going to make the ceramics and we're going to do it together. And he just has this vision of like us like combining like a father-daughter thing, which is super cute.
That's cute. So
he is very supportive, but I also don't think they get it, you know, to a certain extent. Like they're just like, just get a regular job, you know, like why are you doing this thing? Like it's just a hobby. Like that's kind of like the mindset they have with it, you know?
I feel like sometimes people will downplay ceramics as a hobby, you know, because I know in college I had a couple really close friends that majored in it and would make these really brilliant pieces, but they would always have like that voice where it was like, well, how are you going to make a living off of this, you know? But I think exactly what you're doing makes total sense as far as the events and, you know, really utilizing the space that you're given.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if you have like a 5-year plan or anything like that going on in your mind for what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like for me personally, like my goal is to have like a larger studio where I can teach classes, but I would love to have my work be more like known by like different museums and stuff. I would love to have my work out there more. You know, I feel like a lot of artists kind of resort to like I'm an artist, but like I'm a teacher, you know, like to make money, you kind of have to shift your passion into something to benefit you in the long run. And like, I love teaching. It's amazing. I'm really good at it. I really enjoy it. But like, I'm an artist. Like I want to have my work be out there for others to see.
I'm curious how that process even, like, how do you even get your work into like museums and things like that with ceramics?
I think it's just knowing the right people, honestly, like kind of being out there and just like putting your name out there, going to different like networking events and talking to the right people. Personally, I don't know because I'm not there yet, but like, I'm just hoping that someone will come along the way and like open that opportunity up for me. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. I don't know, like as an artist, like you kind of just have this idea of like what's going to happen to you. And like, I think from thinking about it so much that it ends up happening, like you manifest like your life for you. And that's kind of just like the path that I'm on, just hoping that someone will pull up on me and be like, hey, we're from this and that. Like, do you want to work with us? And it happens, you know?
Yeah. What do you feel is I'm curious of your least favorite thing to make and your favorite thing to make. Like if somebody commissions you on something, what are you like,
So my least favorite thing, I think it's more about the process for me. Like personally, I don't really like the wheel a whole lot.
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm good at the wheel. I've been practicing for years, but I just think it's a little bit too monotonous for me. Like it's very much repetitive work. It's really good for like if you have to bust out a bunch of pieces at one time. Like if you have a big order, like, okay, I need to make 10 things in an hour. I can do that easily. Yeah. But it's not as creative for me. It doesn't like, doesn't attract me a whole lot, but like I love hand building. Hand building is super fun. So just creating anything like sculpting, anything like that. Like I've been making birdhouses recently. I really love that just because it's like I'm making like a little world. But personally for me, just like throwing on the wheel is not really.
What's the biggest order you've ever had?
So I used to work for a florist that the concept was, it was all floral arrangements and handmade vases. And I worked for her and made all of the vases, really like large pieces. And I would sit down and make like 20 large vases, like in a day's worth. And it was intense. It was really crazy. So I would say working for that florist and just having really large orders, like all of the stock, all the inventory was vases that I made for her. That's probably what was.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
I'm like, how are your hands, like your muscles, and doing that all day long?
It was like really hard to do it. Like I was battling with myself like every day, but I honestly think that experience got me to where I'm at, where I can make anything and like it's easy for me, easy going. But it was intense. Like I would go home like upset, like just like dead. I'm exhausted. And after working for her for like, I was there for like a year. I didn't really do pottery for like a year after that. I kind of just like was really burnt out from it for a while. I was still teaching all the time, but I just really wasn't getting my hands and like and doing things for myself anymore at that point.
Yeah, I know a lot of photographers that will do that. They get into events and weddings and that circus here, and they just don't shoot for themselves anymore because it is exhausting. You'll work sometimes 12, 14-hour days and come home and just be fried.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's literally like strength training that you're doing, and kind of like I don't know, I can't imagine doing it all day long.
Yeah, and it was outside too.
Oh my God.
It was outside. Yeah, girl. No. Oh my God. I was literally dying. But like, I think a lot of the things that I'm very driven to the point where it's like, I'm doing this for a learning experience type of thing. Like I did that for a learning experience, which I really benefited from. And also I did a summer camp for kids, which was very hard. It was me and 14 kids every day, like from Monday through Friday, like 8 a.m. till like 3, and it was just intense. Yeah. And I was also like, I'm doing this for the experience, doing this like for the challenge, and it was a month that it was really intense, but I also learned from that too. Yeah.
Kids will teach you a lot. They're very honest, but that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting.
What was the most interesting experience out of the kids that you worked with?
So I think for me, it was like handling, I would say like.
It was just you and 14 kids?
It was me and then like 2 or 3 like high school volunteers. So like they weren't really doing a whole lot. Like I was pretty much like micromanaging what they were doing, and then I would just end up doing it myself type of vibe, So I would think what was definitely hard for me was learning how to manage something like that, because I've never been in an experience where I'm like, I am in control of everything that is happening. Right. And it also has to run smoothly. and every piece needs to get fired. And it was like a schedule, you know, like every week, like we had to have everything done.
Yeah.
And it kind of stunts the pottery process because there is a drying process with the clay. And so you kind of have to rush it a little bit to rush it. And sometimes pieces explode and the kids get upset and the parents get upset. And then it's a whole like domino effect, you know? And so that was really intense for me.
So was the workshop just for pottery then?
Yeah, it was a pottery workshop.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Like a summer camp for like a month. It was intense. Wow. Yeah, and I don't know if I remember. It was like every week was like a different group of kids. So
wow.
Like you had to start over.
Oh no.
It was a lot.
All your progress is gone.
Yeah, you're like, no, I gotta just do this all over again. So it was interesting. I think it was also interesting working with the teenagers because it goes up to 15 years old and like I got along well with the younger kids. Like, you know, they're listening, they're excited to be there, but the older kids, like, I just felt so uncool around them.
Oh
you know?
my God,
like,
I feel the same way. I was just literally this weekend, I told you I shot that music festival. I was like, I am not cool anymore, man. Like, I see all these, like, they're 16, 17, whatever, and I'm, like, walking through the photo pit with all my shit on, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so not cool, you know? Like, I know they're looking at me and, like, laughing. I don't know why I feel that way.
I know, it's awkward now. I'm like, my little brother, he's 14 right now, and, like, I just don't get what's going on, like, with what they're doing. I'm just trying to, like, listen to him and, like, be like in the times, but like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, man.
No, I'm
like
so not in the times at all. It's so funny.
It's really interesting for sure. And he has me on TikTok and he sends me TikToks and I have no idea what he sends me. Like I'm watching them and I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? Like
this is above me.
What is going on? Like I just don't get the humor.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
I have like a very dry sense of humor, but I am lost with the kids these days. And then, I'll be shooting events and I'm like, it's like their dad's wedding or something. And they're like 15. And I'm like, okay, like we're going to do some pictures. And they're like rolling their eyes the whole time. And I'm like, get in the picture. You know?
They're just too cool for everything nowadays.
Like stop being too cool for your dad's wedding.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's just do it.
Yeah, I feel that. Very jaded.
Yeah.
I was very jaded.
Like, what were you so mad about? I was mad too. I don't know what I was mad about. Everything was fine. Like, I was mad at everything and it wasn't really that bad.
It's just everything just feels a lot scarier when you're a kid and like you're just figuring things out and those hormones really get to you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was so jaded when I was a kid. Oh my gosh.
I was such a little like emo, annoying. I was such a bitch when I was like 15.
Me too.
Think about it, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, like I look back, I'm like, that's so cringy.
Yeah.
Just so I was so rebellious growing up.
I was definitely like that angsty artist type in my teenager years where I'm like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
It's not a phase, Mom.
It's literally not a phase. I'm exactly the same at 27. So
oh my goodness. That's funny.
Oh my God. I'm curious what your rebellious things that you did were now.
Oh my goodness. We're getting into trauma right now.
Do it.
Oh gosh. So I told you that my parents were very religious growing up and, you know, very Pentecostal and just wanted me to go to church all the time. And I just like saw right through the bullshit. I'm just like, for me, hey, if you believe in God, that's great. But like, don't shove it down other people's throats. If they're not into it, then they're not into it, you know? And like, they were not okay with that. I was just very much like, I don't believe in this. This is not for me. And so that just caused a lot of problems with my family. And, you know, I would like sneak out of the house and I would say I was going to youth group and then I'd like hide my phone in the bush because my mom had,
oh my God.
She had the like,
location.
she could track my location. So I'd stick my phone in the bush and my like boyfriend at the time would like pick me up and like, we'd like go like hang out and like, just like be like hooligans, you know, and just, I would get caught every single time because my mom is like, she's watching me, you know?
The phone in the bush thing is hilarious. I didn't have a phone, so I just got away with everything.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I didn't have a phone until I was like almost 18.
Oh, wow.
Which was nuts because I would do like little road trips and stuff to like see my cousin and stuff.
That's crazy.
And I would just like raw dog life with one of those like Garmin's and just like, you know,
that's awesome.
Call on the house phone and be like, I made it. You know?
Damn, lots of trust there then.
I know. I think about it. I literally was just talking about that and I'm like, I would never do a road trip like
without a phone.
Without a phone now, you know, like that would just drive me nuts and it would also freak me out. But yeah, I don't know how as a teenager That's funny though. I like the bush thing.
For sure. Definitely like the phone in the bush. And then I would sneak out so much that my dad literally like drilled my window shut at a certain point. That didn't stop me though. I started going around the back porch, and then they caught onto that, and then they put a camera in the back of the house.
See, for us, we would always lie and say that we were going to the movies. And we're like, oh, we're going to go to the movies, and we're going to watch like 3 in a row. No, we never went to the movies. My mom would ask me for the ticket stub. So we would go and we'd buy all the ticket stubs.
Oh my gosh.
And then I would take it home and give it to her. Funny. But we never went to a movie.
That's smart.
And I'm like, why can't she see through that? You know, like, we didn't see a movie. She would ask me about it. So what was your favorite part of the movie? And I would just like make up some shit because I knew she didn't see it, you know.
That's really funny. I used to actually go to the movies and go watch 3 movies in a row, like skip. You know, you could just go like hop around.
I think I did it like once, and then I was like, there's no reason to do this.
Yeah, it's so crazy. We would like actually, that was like a thing that you did. It was like go to the movie theater, and now like I feel like I would never willingly go to a movie
I can't tell you the last time. Oh, I think I did. The only movie that I've seen, I think literally since like the first Hunger Games came out, was the Elvis movie. I think I went, I saw that, and that was pretty cool in theaters.
That was interesting. That movie was really interesting.
Yeah, I liked the way it was shot. It was really weird. A lot of people didn't like it, but
yeah, it was like cool. It was like filmed like a TikTok. I feel like it was so quick like that. Like
it was like very instant and like chaotic. But
it was interesting. It was cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, we would always say that we're going to movies, and we'd be at like punk shows in downtown Orlando.
That's amazing.
Not at all.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I grew up in a small town. We did not have punk shows at all. We had like, we would sit in like a parking lot and just like hang out in the car and talk, or go to the movies, actually go to the movies and like just hang out at each other's place, but like nothing else.
In Naples? And when did you move here?
Like 4 years ago. Yeah, so I think 2019.
Okay.
Right before the pandemic.
I was going to say right before COVID then.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Like I moved here and I was like, well, this is completely different. I was in Naples. I moved to Tampa for like 7 months and then moved to North Carolina to be with my sister for a bit. So just like
I could actually see your work like really thriving in North Carolina.
Yeah, people love pottery over there. I actually like won a scholarship for one of the different studios there, and I did like
I wonder if it's at the studio that I went to. I'll have to find the information. I was at one like literally in the mountains.
Playworks?
I think so. I have to look, but there was one really beautiful. It was like attached to a gallery, like on site. It was really pretty, but it was literally in the mountains, like middle of nowhere.
Okay. There's a lot of studios, pottery studios in North Carolina. So it was really nice to go there and just see, like, it was very, very much appreciated there. I really enjoyed it there. But yeah, I was there for like 7 months. It was just like not really, there wasn't a whole lot to do. I really enjoyed the nature though. Like hiking was super nice, and just being, you literally walk outside and it's just like forest. You know, you walk out here and it's like you're hit with like that heat and you're like, I want to die.
I feel like North Carolina could be like retirement for me if I ever retire.
100%. That's kind of what I said. I'm like, I will move back like when I'm older and I've settled down. But
yeah, it's just like nice and quiet, and I don't know, nobody bothers you.
It's chill. It's super chill. Super beautiful.
Yeah, Miami, I feel like I definitely need a break from all the time.
Yeah.
It's just 24/7 chaos.
Are you from Miami?
No, I'm from Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not super different. I like Miami better than Orlando, but you know.
How long have you been in Miami for?
I guess 6 years now.
Okay, so it's been a minute then.
Yeah, been a minute. I'm pretty used to it now. Pretty used to the personalities and everything that you get from here.
It's intense. I think what I say about Miami is like, I don't personally love it, but I've grown the most as a person here. Yeah. Like, I've really saw myself flourish as an artist here. And there's just, like, so many opportunities. So many different things going on. And, like, you just have to tap into the right, like, network of people.
Yes. I think once you find your little crew, it took me a second, but once you find your little crew, it's, like, perfect. And I don't know, I feel like I don't even need to venture out too much from it. Yeah, but it's, for sure. It's like a comfortable little group of people.
Yeah, I think for me, like hosting these events, I had that in mind of like when I moved here, I was really freaked out because I didn't know what to do or like who to hang out with. And it just seemed very scary for the majority of the, like at least like the first 6 months that I was here. I was like just having a hard time like getting myself out there. And you know, I kind of wanted this to be a place where, hey, like if you're new here, like this is a good place to like meet really cool people where you can come and you can chill, and it feels kind of like a house party. So it's like you feel more like safe and like cool with it. I wish I had something like that when I moved here because it took me a while, and I think I kind of jumped into the wrong scene. I was like partying a lot, and it just like it was fine at the moment, but it was really exhausting.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I can't get into the club culture here like whatsoever. I'll end up in it every now and then for work, and I'll be in it and like with my earplugs in, like, damn, people really do this all the time. You know? Because there's people I'll see on Instagram and they'll like post that shit like 3-4 days a week. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, recharge your brain a little bit, you know? Like, go sit with yourself.
Yeah, like, low-key, that was me for a little while. For a few years, I would go out all the time. And I just personally, I love music. Like, I would go out because I never had that kind of music scene. Like, growing up in Naples or, like, in North Carolina, there really isn't that. So coming here and just being like, there's always an event happening. I need to go to every event. And then over time, I realized, like, the party will still be there. Like, if you don't go out tonight, like, the party will be there tomorrow. So it's fine. Like, just chill.
There's a lot of different kinds of music that I see, like, coming up, too. My friend April, she hosts these little jams at her house. It reminds me a lot of this space. I filmed an episode with her as well. And they'll be, like, 15 musicians all playing a different instrument in one room, and it's super, super fun. And I don't know, everybody that's there is just like really calm and just there for the music. Everybody's chilling.
Yeah. What's the name of her
she doesn't really do like a name or anything, but her social media is April Nicole. I'll connect you guys. I feel like you would fit in really well with the group.
That. Yeah. I think it's a super cool concept.
It's really cute. And it's like the same thing. She's got like the backyard and everything, but it's just like super music oriented. And
that's amazing. I
don't play, but I just go and I sit and I drink and, you know, smoke and hang out.
I would love to go, honestly. It sounds like a good vibe.
Yeah, it's really fun. I bring people every now and then, and it's funny, my friend Colin was in town. He's a photographer and a musician out of Colorado, and he was like, oh, he used to live here. And so I took him in and he knew like half the people there and started playing. Like, it was nothing, like everybody, even if they don't know each other, is like, you know, that one little thing brings everybody together. It's really cute.
That's really, so people bring their own instruments or?
Yeah. There's like one guy that brought this, I don't know if it was like a horn, but it was like this vintage, like, I don't know, music device literally from the 1920s. And he was like playing it like off from his hand, like off from like a frequency. And I was just like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like,
so confused.
There's some really brilliant people here in Miami.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool. They're hidden. They're deep down there, but
you gotta look for it.
You really gotta look for it here, but it's out here.
Super cool. Yeah, I am looking for something more like that to go out, because like I go out and I love electronic music, love house music, but it's just like too much sometimes. I feel like people don't respect the space a lot of times. Like, you're there and people are bumping into you and you're just like uncomfortable. Like, you feel like claustrophobic. So I
feel like sometimes that kind of music can like can bring like a little bit more of like an aggressive demographic sometimes, which I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it definitely depends on who's playing, like who the DJ is. You notice like when you go out, like whatever DJ is playing, they bring their own crowd of people, and sometimes it's just not the vibes.
Yeah, no. I never really, I have a few friends that are in it, and they're kind of like as far into it as I go, because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah, I really like the like the little kind of low key rock and roll scene that's going on here right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool. There's not much of it, it being Miami, but it's cool.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that Miami has really grown a lot, like in just like the culture, like of the arts and everything. I feel like recently there's been a lot more.
Yeah, since I've been here for sure. Like even like your event as an example, like that kind of stuff. I don't remember seeing anything like that when I first moved here. And then obviously COVID hit and nothing was going on. And then now I feel like everybody's like, okay, we're finally outside. We can live our lives and not care and just do our own thing. And
I feel like people kind of like were awakened by that whole situation, you know, and just be like, I want to do things that I enjoy doing because I have all this free time.
With other people.
Yeah, with other people, exactly. And I just feel like a lot of people have shifted their whole like mindset on like what work can be for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like every industry that I'm watching has gotten like really collaborative over the past like 2 years here. So I don't know. I like to see it. I hope it keeps going. Like I hope it doesn't slow down.
So too.
I like it. I like the little community stuff
For
on the
sure.
small scale, not like massive stuff, but
Yeah,
it's cute.
Definitely.
But you know, yeah, I feel like we're pretty good. I feel like I like this conversation. It was nice.
Yeah.
If there's anything else that you wanted to say or plug, you can definitely plug your Instagram and.
Yeah, for sure. Feel free to follow me at Wavy Studio, Wavy with 2 A's. I post different events. I also do private classes if you ever want to learn more in depth. Wheel throwing classes and hand building classes. Would love to have you in the space. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, I do have one little question for you that I keep trying to not forget to ask everybody. I want to know your most listened to music right now.
Oh my goodness.
Off rip.
So like honestly, like Lana Del Rey's new album has been on repeat. Like
I didn't even know she had a new album.
Yeah, she has a new album that came out a few weeks ago and just absolutely love it.
Okay.
Just cannot stop listening to it. I think it's really interesting. It's different from her old work. It's about like family and like healing like generational trauma, which I feel like I really resonate with.
Yeah.
And it's just like her voice is beautiful.
Okay.
I love it.
All right. I like that. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being a guest on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Maybe we'll do another one sometime do a little update for everybody here soon.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this has been the Little Art Studio podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Ashlyn, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.